Okay, I'd like to introduce you to a project of mine I've been working on for the past probably 6 months, and it's pretty much done. So this is a Kegerator. It's got 5 taps, 2 of which are soda, 3 of which are beer. It's up to you what you'd want to do with it if you had one. I'm going to start from the outside. Of course, the bottom here, this is I should back up a little bit. This is a chest freezer, and I just covered it with some reclaimed wood from pallets, and then I sanded it and stained it. And you can see how I put it together just with some screws, and there's a wood collar around the top in between the lid and the freezer itself, and that's what I drilled into for each of the taps and also the boards. It makes it pretty stable on the top, but on the bottom there's nothing to screw into because you have the freezer itself. So I use these little brackets, and that just enabled it to not flare out so much. It's basically just kind of a fence around it. And then this right here, that's the temperature controller. It actually is, I wired it in. There's an option that you can buy one online that you don't have to wire it in. You can actually plug it directly to the socket, to the wall socket, and just what it is there's a temperature sensor that you dip inside the freezer, and it will turn off the freezer when it reaches the set temperature, and won't allow it to get to freezing. So, and then mine was 20 bucks, but if you want one that plugs into the wall, I've seen them for 40 or 60, depends on where you get it from and what quality it is, I'm sure. This is a drip tray, and these are little brackets I just got at the hardware store. Drip trays, probably 40 bucks. These are 30 bucks a piece, and then these are just little wood carvings I did as a kind of a little hobby. That's probably what's taken the most time. That's kind of self-explanatory. This right here, of course, we have, like I said, I have 2 sodas and 3 beers. You just print them out, and however you're into it. I got these little mount thingies at the dollar store. They're pretty simple. Alright, so like I said, it's the freezer. So what I did is took the lid off and I moved the hinge, and I put this 2x4 collar all the way around, and then I lined it with styrofoam. This right here is just a little door sensor. It's connected to a light. I turned it off, or actually the batteries wore out. So, and then the sensor, the temperature sensor, runs in under here, and this is just duct tape over the styrofoam. I also made this modular so I can access it. You can see how it's stuck in there. Okay. So that's just stuck in there like that, nice and tight, so they don't wiggle around too much. I've seen a lot of Kegerators wiggle. Well, not a lot, only a few. You can see the pressure right now. It's only set to 30 because I'm pressurizing soda, so I would normally do that with beer. I set it at about 5. I found that that's probably the happy medium to serve beer and not get it over fizzy. These right here, connectors. The connectors will kill you. That's probably the biggest frustration I've had with this whole thing. I've changed out connectors probably 3 or 4 times, but now I'm happy with my setup. These were my original setup. These are lure locks. They just screw in together, but you'll find that they're not very easy to get on and off, and you're messy with liquids. So you can get at the bottom there. You can get some little beer or soda spillage from that, and if you're like me and don't like to clean up very often, it's not a very good option. So since these connectors I don't unscrew very often, I only do it to take this thing off and work with that kind of stuff. I leave these on, and just as a matter of convenience to remove them at this particular spot. As the lines get to where they're going, like this 5-gallon soda keg, depending on your size of the freezer, you should definitely measure it when you get it. I got mine off a Craigslist kind of thing, and it was 100 bucks. So it was good fit for one soda keg, but the rest I had to use tapadrafts. And tapadrafts are these little bottles you get. They're UV filtered, so you can bottle in them and whatnot. And they enable you to have a lot of variety with a very small amount of space. I get bored with one particular style. So this is just a wire grating. I just molded it, wrapped it around, and then zip tied it together to make this sort of modular setup so that it can house these tapadrafts. The regulator, of course, that's American. This is a Japanese tank. Doesn't really matter what you get, just it'll cost you some money, I'm sure. You can look at those online, it's pretty self-explanatory too. Beveragefactory.com and homebrewstuff.com are my two principal sites, and I did go to Lowe's a couple times before I came out here. This is the distributor, so they're just basically 5 valves that distribute gas to each of the lines. So the heart of the system, like I said, what frustrated me the most are these caps. And now that I have these caps, I'm happy with them. So I'll show you a version that's off of one. And so we're here. So this is what's inside the tapadraft. I have a dip tube. This is just a metal straw that I got on eBay for like $4, and then I cut it to the right size, and then I put some of that tubing around it. You can see that there. That's 3/16 tubing. You just get that at Lowe's or whatnot. This is the cap. So I had to buy the cap separately. The caps are like $4. And then these suckers, I think I ended up spending about $100 for all the connectors. These things, these right there, usplastics.com, I believe. And then I used super glue to put them in, and then I coated them around the super glue with JB Weld to make them sturdy. And then I coated them on the inside with silicone, and so that you won't have any kind of plasticizer or whatever coming in contact with your liquid. Since they're upright, it's not very common that that's going to happen anyway. You just connect this to the dip tube to the liquid side, which is the blue side in my case. So it works out really nicely. These have an auto shut-off feature on them, so you don't get messy. And you can also pressurize a bottle and leave it, like in your fridge or whatever, if you want to hot swap. So that's about it.